Be noted, and I give the call to the member for Lalor.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And Deputy Speaker, it's pleasing to hear that those opposite understand that supply is critical to the issue of housing, a generation-made problem that we're facing today. It's interesting to hear that they understand that supply is key to that, and yet spent the second half of our first term in government blocking supply and blocking measures from Labor that would have driven supply. It is fascinating, Deputy Speaker. Well, Deputy Speaker, we're all here today to talk about the 5% deposits that this government has created for new home owners and brought forward to October 1st for the changes where the caps will better suit each state or each city and how things work, but also to celebrate, in my case, the 1,880 participant households that have already used this system and the 3,140 individuals that are reflected in those households, because that is the secret to adding to supply, Deputy Speaker. This is about saying to a generation of Australians who feel left behind on housing that we want you to have a home of your own with the security that brings, and to support young Australians to do just that. But if I might take a moment, Deputy Speaker, to talk about what this means for single parents, because we'll be continuing the family home guarantee that helps them buy a home with a 2% deposit. This is extraordinarily important in a community like mine. We'll be delivering this 3 months early from October 1st, because this crisis wasn't created overnight and it won't be fixed overnight, but real progress is being made right across the country, as is seen in the electorate I represent. In the first term, we took the Commonwealth from being a negligent bystander under the Coalition to being a bold and ambitious government, more bold and ambitious since the Second World War. But let's be clear, the job isn't done. It's still too hard to build and too hard to buy in this country, and this announcement is about allowing all first-home buyers to buy their own home with just a 5% deposit, or the family home guarantee, where a single parent could secure their mortgage with a 2% deposit. And of course, as has been referenced, this is also about people not having to have that insurance that could cost, on say an $800,000 home, over $30,000. So this means people will get out of their rental into the situation where they're in their home so they can stop paying rent, start paying their mortgage. It means less time to save for that deposit. So rather than saving over many years for a 20% deposit, it might take only 2 years to save a 5% deposit, depending on what you're earning and in which part of our great country you are living. If we look at my community, where the median house price in my community is $600,000, then we're talking about a 5% deposit being quite attainable for the young people that I represent, and not just those that I represent, but those that come and join us in our affordable housing area in the city of Wyndham from outside of Wyndham, who will also be able to come and buy one of the new homes that go up every week in the area that I represent. So on the way, they can save about $30,000 in mortgage insurance, and they could pay up to $250,000 towards their own loan rather than paying rent across that savings period. Deputy Speaker, it's important to note that we are here bringing this good news to the parliament after decades of neglect, in the space of addressing housing, or the Commonwealth being a partner to community in housing, and after having both the Liberal National Coalition and the Greens block our work in this space across the last few years. They didn't support our 100k homes for first home buyers. They voted against Help to Buy and promised to abolish the scheme before the last election. They've given up on home ownership. This government is just getting started, and now they're attempting to raise taxes on builders and scrap 80,000 new rentals in the process. In a community like mine, the people who manage to get the 5% deposit and get into the market will be forever grateful, forever they will remember that moment when they secured that home loan, just like most of us across the country do. I remember distinctly securing the home loan and buying my first property with my husband at the time. It was a great moment. It meant that we could stop renting. It meant that we were going to be moving into something and start paying that mortgage down. It was a fantastic moment. And of course, properties then were more accessible in terms of our incomes and what the property prices were. So this is something that is going to support young people that I represent, support young people across the country to become those home owners where they are paying off the capital as well as the interest and making sure that they join the ranks of people who own their own home. And we've already seen that on the ground in electorates across the country. The numbers are actually really impressive of the young people who have taken up this opportunity already. And I look forward to seeing more and more, particularly if I think about it, the single parent 2% deposit. I think this is an incredibly important part of this legislation that not many people are paying a lot of attention to. But as someone who was a single parent paying off a mortgage with 3 children and at the time working part-time, this would have been a game changer for me. If I go back and share with the House the situation where, when I became a single parent, I was talking to someone at the credit union that held my mortgage about the changed circumstances, and that I was quite sure that I was capable of meeting those mortgage payments on my own. And the manager stepped out, having heard me in this conversation, and said, "Can you come in to me? I just want to have a quick chat." And he said to me, "Shh, let's just pay it for 12 months and then we'll look at it." Because the instinct of the bank is to tell a single parent that they can't afford to do this. I'm proof they can afford to do it. A 2% deposit will allow people to get into the space where they're given that opportunity to put a roof over their head and the head of their children in a home they own, in a home that they can't be removed from because someone wants to choose to sell a property. The 2% deposit for families is absolutely critical, for single-parent families is absolutely a critical part of this process that will see single parents in my community, whether they be mums or dads, single parents with a roof over their head for themselves and their children, and a government that's prepared to back them and help them and assist them by creating a space where they can do that with a 2% deposit, something that I think will be achievable for a lot of the people in that circumstance in my community. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.